Good evening. Welcome to the November Salem Springs School District Board meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And the first thing we will do is we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
So if tonight we're going to be led by the Pledge of Allegiance, going to be led by our kindergarten perfect attendance students. So as you know, we have been pushing attendance, and these are some of our students who have not missed a single day of school this year, and we're so proud of them. Amen. And glad they're here. Wow. So Ms. Fox will bring them up.
Way to go.
As you can see, we had a lot of perfect attendance kiddos this month, but 5 of them tonight and help us. Cooper Hill, Max O'Connell, Jasper Selvage, Elisa Valdez, and Leonidas Holt. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's so awesome that that we had those youngsters here tonight, and I want to go ahead and say one more time that attendance really does matter. And if some of you might have seen the news story yesterday that I was interviewed by Channel 5, and we talked a lot about the things that we're doing in the district to encourage students to come to school. Every day does matter. Even one day is a lost day of instruction that our students can never get back. So it's important that we're there every day. It's important for our teachers to be at work every day. We just don't get a second chance on that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate the parents and the students of this group for not only being here tonight, but also for making such an effort to be at school every single day so far this year. So wonderful deal. So at this time, I think we'll move into celebrations, I think.
All right.
Jordan?
Sounds good. Celebrations.
Mr. Schoonover's up first.
I thought about something today. I was sitting around, we were working on different things today. Sometimes you work on tough things. I mean, that's just part of our job, right? And you work on things that it's easy to forget all the great that's going on here at Siloam. And we got a whole bunch of great going on, and we want to build around individuals that are great. And this one right here, she's great. She's the example of great. She has taken over our new daycare, and she's running it, and it's not just running. I mean, it's taken off. And you know, as an HR director, we have people come and we talk to people as they look to come into our district. And I can't tell you how many times just in the last 6 months I've heard that daycare is such a special thing, getting people to come to Salem Springs. And us getting people to come to Salem Springs, but keeping people in Salem Springs. Last year, as we did exit interviews, as people left and went different places, oftentimes one of the things they would say, they might be living over in the corridor, and they would say, you know, I've got childcare situation, I can't get back in time for my daycare, or whatever it may be, whatever may be the reason. We not only have a daycare that's affordable, but we got a daycare that's being run by the best. And I think that Michelle Payton said it best. She said, and you'll see it when you go over and you see, I can talk louder. That's usually not my problem. You go over and you see Miss Christine, and I'll do it sometimes. I'll go over there into the daycare and just stop. I've stopped off to see Miss Natalie in her building and go over to see Christina down there. And it's just, everything is functional. But the one thing you see with Christina is she's not sitting at a desk in the front. She's doing every one of the jobs. And she's mixed in. Nothing's too big for Christina. She's the example for everybody that's working over there. She's filled that place with a bunch of people that love kids and people that really it's their passion and their calling to help little ones. And you know, as a father of 3, I know one of the hardest things for my wife and I was when we dropped off, especially our oldest one, dropped him off for the first time with other people that weren't us. And I know I would have no problems dropping my children off with Christina. I don't think I could give her a bigger compliment than that. But Christina Brown's pretty special, and we're lucky to have her.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is our classified employee of the month. If Doug Chastain would come on up. Doug's easy one to talk about too. And you guys that have been around Siloam Springs for a long time, a lot longer than I have, I know you guys know Doug Chastain. Doug Chastain obviously is getting honored as the classified employee of the month, but Doug's been someone that's been honored with a lot of recognition in his career. He was also the Arkansas State Bus Driver of the Year just a couple years ago. And you know, when I talked to Doug, guess what he didn't tell me? He didn't tell me that. You know, it took Steve Avery to tell me that and bring me a little flyer on Doug. Doug's humble, but what Doug does every day is he's consistent, he shows up, and he loves kids. Prior to doing this, Doug also, I was looking at his bio, 20 years as a choir director at Benton and 18 here, or 18 in Benton. And, is that correct?
Yes.
So 38 years as a teacher prior to being this, and then also I saw, you know, you've put in how many years as a bus driver now? Is it 45?
45.
45 years as a bus driver. You don't do that. I've started driving a bus now myself, and there's some days at the end of the day, I don't know how this guy's doing it 45 years. I'm really impressed. I do enjoy my days with the kiddos, but 45 years on a bus, it means one thing. It means that that's your passion and your purpose. And we want to have people like Doug Chastain here at Siloam Springs. Steve Avery, can't say enough when I talk to him about Doug, just not only the consistent person that he is, but loving kids, and also an example for everyone down there. He is and I wouldn't have guessed this, Doug. Steve told me that you were the older man down there as far as running the show. So he is the example for us. Doug looks much younger than that, but I can't tell Doug how much we appreciate him. Here's a little token of our appreciation, but Brad, give him a round of applause.
Two great employees there. We couldn't say enough about either one of those. They're just high quality individuals. So, all right. I think we're ready for Miss Gabby to come up and her team. We're going to recognize some of our Agri students, FFA students.
Yes, thank you. So first, I just wanted to.
Your
Do I need to
clicker's
be
right
closer?
there when you're ready.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. First, I just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity to come up here and brag about our kids. We will never turn down an opportunity to brag about all of these kids. We've got it pretty full in here, and I'm really proud of that. We have a lot of our students who not only represent some of our livestock showing kids, but some of our chapter officers as well. So we're really excited to have them and some of their family members with us. So we're here specifically to talk about some of the accomplishments that we have from our livestock showing kids. But before we talk about that, I kind of want to paint the picture of Benton County. It is no surprise to any of us that Benton County is growing. We are growing. We're going through a lot of changes right now. And that goes right along with our land and availability of space for our students to be able to house and have some of these livestock projects. So that is something that we have definitely seen and felt, but I am very glad and proud to say that in Benton County, even with us being one of the larger school districts, in Benton County at our fair, our school district had the most FFA members showing, even compared to some of the smaller schools that maybe kind of you would think would have a little bit more access to some land space, some smaller schools like Gravette or Gentry or Decatur, things like that. And I just think that goes to show that these kids have the tenacity to stick through things. I mean, they if they want it, they'll do it. And I think that's just a really important thing that we start with before we talk about all the cool stuff that they've done. I think it's really important to see it as, you know, a big picture. So we're very proud of that and very proud of their representation that we've had at not only Benton County Fair, but some of the other fairs as well. So speaking of that, before we get into all the animals, because we do have so many students that maybe don't have access to the same thing, maybe they don't have access to land, they don't have the finances to be able to support these larger projects. A few years ago, we started pushing our students to actually enter projects into the exhibit hall at the county fair. If you've ever been to the county fair, you know it's a really cool thing to get to see. We had 18 students enter a project into the exhibit hall this year. And again, that goes to show that we have students across the board that have so many skills and talents that we want to showcase that can find a home not only in our FFA chapter, but in the agriculture industry. So we had kids enter projects from photography to canning to art projects and anything and everything in between. So really, really cool thing that we're really proud of as well. So speaking of livestock things specifically, we had 15 students in total this year. Again, that is, we are growing, not only numerically, but also in just the quality of all of the livestock animals that we've got. So that's a big deal. So at Benton County Fair, we had 14 of our students. 2 of them were showing poultry, and then the other 12 showed anything from cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs. We had representation for all, so really awesome. At the Oklahoma, it's the Arkansas-Oklahoma State Fair in Fort Smith. We had 3 students show there. At the Arkansas Youth Expo in Fayetteville, we had 7 students. So that's actually a statewide show. It's actually turned out to be a really, really big and competitive livestock show. We had 7 students compete there. And then at the Arkansas State Fair in Little Rock, we had 3 students, which again, it's about almost a 4-hour drive. So shout out to those kids who did that and did really well there. So that's kind of just the brief rundown of what we have done. We do have this presentation that goes through and highlights every single one of our students and tells you the shows that they were in and some of their highlighted moments. So anyways, we'll go through those.
All right, so I just want to take a moment to highlight each of those students and those accomplishments. Again, these students put in a lot of hard work and effort, not just during the school year, but outside, preparing these projects, getting them ready, and then the commitment that they have to not only excel at school, but also representing our chapter. So first is Christian Barrett. He's our chapter president. This was his 3rd year showing the pullet pin. He got 4th overall at the Oklahoma-Arkansas State Fair. Kaylee Wilson, this was her very first year showing, and so she got 7th overall at the pullet pin. And then first place pin at Benton County. Nate Perdue was another one of our students. He's in our middle school program, and he showed at Benton County with the pullet pin. Knox Griffin, he did a really great job at not only Benton County, but also at the Arkansas State Fair, where he got reserve grand champion and overall supreme dairy cow for his Guernsey and his Jersey breeds. Mila, she showed at Benton County, winning Grand Champion Open Beef Master. Wyatt Moore showed at both Benton County and Arkansas Youth Expo in Fayetteville, where he got Junior Commercial U. He also placed 7th and 5th place with his natural and dark cross classes. Hayden Gonzalez, he placed at Benton County, first place pasture to plate. This was his first year doing this with a steer that he fed out. He also got reserve grand champion Charolais. And then at the Arkansas State Fair, got 2nd place with his Charolais heifer. Lula Brile, she's another one of our middle schoolers. This was also her very first year showing. She did a fantastic job at Benton County and at the Arkansas Youth Expo, where she got grand champion for her Kiania, and then first place for Kiania, and then her reserve grand champion for that same heifer. Jake Myers is another one of our officers. He did fantastic at Benton County Fair and then again at the Arkansas Youth Expo, getting reserve grand champion maintainer, 4th overall heifer for our county. He also got top 6 senior cattle showmanship, where he represented our chapter very well, not only in showmanship, but also for answering questions based on his project. He got 1st place commercial heifer in his class and 3rd overall for his heifer. Cooper Ward, he got second and sixth place at our county fair with his Duroc hog, and then 10th place at the Arkansas Youth Expo. Jet Browse, this is his second year at showing with his purebred Duroc at Benton County. He got 4th place and then 5th place. And then at AYE, also got 9th place there. Kaylee, this was her very first year showings, and she got 6th place in the market hog class at our county fair. Addie Muniz is a rock star, and she brought home almost everything you can think of. So AYE, she got Grand Champion Breeding Doe, Reserve Champion AOB. State Fair, she got Reserve Champion for her Hampshire sheep. She also got Reserve Champion for her Dark Face Cross, her White Face Cross, Reserve Champion for her Haired Doe, which was 3rd overall, and then Reserve Champion Heavyweight Division Goat, 3rd overall.
And Addie is also going to be competing in 3 national livestock shows. She is one of our only students doing that, but she's going to be going to 3 coming up really soon. That's another really awesome thing. Those are very competitive, but really cool opportunities for our kids. So yeah,
Yes.
she's awesome.
We're very proud of her. Cheyenne Ward is another one of our middle schoolers. She showed at the Benton County Fair as well as the Arkansas Youth Expo with 4th place for her Berkshire pig and then 7th place for her purebred Berkshire at AYE. Hayden Smith, he also entered in an ag mechanics project at the AYE Expo, where he got 3rd overall for a lawnmower that he got and then fixed up and then entered in there. On the livestock side at Benton County, he got Grand Champion for his American heifer and then 5th overall commercial heifer. And then we also wanted to take a moment to recognize some of the 4-H students as well. And so here's some of the pictures that we have that got sent in from them.
So the one on the left, that is Keelan. I had the pleasure of having her in class last year. I don't have her, unfortunately, this year. She is not in our FFA chapter, but still super proud of her and all of their hard work as it is. Just like we are with any of our 4-H students, because even if they are not yet eligible to be in FFA, that is the future of our program. So we are proud supporters of them as well. So of course we wanted to highlight some of their awesome stuff that they've done too. Cool.
All right.
I think that's all. You know,
Okay.
Awesome,
I'm
thank
sure we
you.
could come up with more if you wanted us to.
So I do want to add a few things like, so agriculture is a really big, as we know in our community. It's been big in our community for a lot of years. And as you said earlier, as our community, as well as Northwest Arkansas, continues to grow, there tends to be a little bit less land for that to come about. But I do think, as superintendent leading this district, that it is super important that we still provide opportunities through our FFA and our 4-H and our ag programs to be able to teach the agricultural industry to our students, because that industry is not going away. It's what feeds the world. And so being able to have this and the work that you guys do is so super important. It is very important to me, and as well as I know it is our school board. So thank you so much for your work, and we look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do in the future. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
If all the FFA people could go, and Miss Page wants to get a picture with you guys out there. You're welcome to come back in and stay for the meeting, though.
Run.
Dr. Miller. So Dr. Miller is here to talk about a few other kids that have done some wonderful things here recently.
Yes. Before I do that, I would like to say thanks to the board for joining us at the high school today. We had a wonderful lunch in our cafeteria. Our cafeteria workers did an amazing job on the lunch, and then you got to see some awesome learning happening in our building. So we were very glad to host you guys today. I'm talking tonight about the Ozark Media Arts Festival, also known as OMOF. It is a student competition and conference showcasing video, photography, graphic design, and print journalism for middle, junior, and high school students from Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas. Students and programs can submit content from the past school year for awards in the Upload competition and see their work on the big screen, or they can take on the challenge to create from concept to content in 5 hours at the actual festival during what they call on-site competition. So students who attend can compete in Upload plus on-site competitions, both. They can attend a college, career, and tech expo. They can attend industry-led workshops in broadcast, film, production, photography, graphic design, and business. And we actually had 64 Siloam Springs High School AVTF, graphic design and journalism students attend the OMOF, or Ozark Media Arts Festival, this year. It was in October 14th and 15th. And in total, our students came home with 10 third place wins, 4 second place wins, and the following first place awards. They won first place in yearbook layout and design, first place in Broadcast Anchor Challenge, which you guys saw some broadcasting today, branding and logo design, commercial photography, public service announcement, and narrative feature film. So those were all first place wins. So we're very proud of these students. They're doing very exciting things, and these are things that they will hopefully take into their future. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good deal.
You beat me to it. I was going to say thank you for the opportunity this afternoon to visit the high school. And I also want to say as well that the professionalism, the engagement from the teachers and students was just impressive. That's just about the best word I could come up with today. So thank you for everything. It was great.
Thank you very much.
All right. Is that all the celebrations?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We will move into public comment. Are there any?
Public comment this evening.
No public comment this evening. All right, we will move into reports. Mr. Patrick.
All right, so first I wanted to, the first thing, or really my whole report is, it's been highly anticipated. I know we've been talking about this for a while. Part of this whole transition conversation to the neighborhood schools has led to the point at this meeting that we would have Zonda here to present some possible boundaries for the school district to look at and consider what that would look like moving into the neighborhood school zone system. So that's the big thing tonight. There's been a lot of other work that's continued to go on to prepare in the event that this is the final decision that we're going to move forward. But I did want to really let our focus tonight be on this. I know it's the one question everybody's asking: what are the zones? What are the zones? What are the zones? And I understand that. So I'm going to turn it over to Hudson Huff with Zonda to go through the proposal that they put together. They've given the district a couple of different options to think about. And just before you do, Hudson, like the process, what I hope that we can follow is we can ask any clarifying questions tonight that we want to, that maybe Hudson has, and if he doesn't, he's obviously would come back to us with that. And then we want to put this out on our website and through social media and try to get as much feedback for the board. And then we have tentatively scheduled a work session in the future so that the board could then take all that feedback, gather it in and look at it, and then talk through all the possibilities, or if there's some changes the board would like to see in one of these proposals. And then next month's regular board meeting, I would recommend that the board votes to either approve one of these proposals or an altered proposal, or to give the district the direction of, hey, we're not going this route and we're just going to stay like we are. And so that's kind of the process of moving forward. So if the board is okay, I will turn it over to Hudson and let him start with the presentation, and he'll be able to answer any of your questions.
All right. Well, first and foremost, good evening, President Warden, members of the board, Superintendent Patrick. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you in person. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to present to you a month and a half ago, virtually and in a square, but I'm glad to actually be here physically in person with you here tonight. And so I will talk you through kind of how we put this together and all the things that are incorporated into this, as many details as I can potentially share as a part of this. So again, evaluating kind of what that potential may look like into the future related to that grade reconfiguration and utilizing all of your buildings that you currently have, just potentially reevaluating how you're using all of those campuses. So again, taking that taking our current feeder patterns the way it is and potentially creating those 3 elementaries and 3 elementary zones that would be pre-K through 5th grade, and then taking your current intermediate and middle school campuses and converting those into 6th through 8th grade campuses. And then, of course, that would all feed into your high school there. So when we are evaluating this, there are several things that we do try to take into consideration when we're putting together proposed attendance boundaries. We want to evaluate, of course, the locations of the campuses and where those are in relation to where the students are throughout the district. We want to evaluate those zones to try to make them what we call contiguous. We want those boundaries to not skip around to all of a sudden move over a neighborhood, so that they would somewhat be together. That involves transportation and just making sure those areas and those communities and those in those areas are as close together as possible. Again, we want to make sure we take into consideration the routing of buses and what makes the most sense related to that. And then, of course, evaluating kind of where those major roads and tracks are around the district and try to make sure that the boundaries work within those confines. So, again, this just kind of highlights those specific things, referencing where those campuses are. Those dots are not Siloam Springs dots. Those are just an example of what we do look at, but we do want to make sure that we evaluate where those students are in relation to each one of those individual campuses when we're putting those boundaries together. Another thing that we will talk through tonight is just identifying, similar to what I did with the demographic study, where we highlighted all of those developments and all that housing growth that's going to take place. Want to make sure that when we're putting together proposed boundaries that we account for those future homes that potentially may be coming in, those families and those students that would be coming into the future, and making sure that we incorporate some of those numbers into our evaluation process. So you'll see this first boundary scenario, and I'll dive in a little bit deeper so that you can kind of see kind of where it gets around the campuses, but you can see this kind of lays out a potential proposal of where that would be, where those boundaries are in relation to the major roads that are out there. Again, looking for a balance. We want to try to have as much balance as possible between the campuses, but we also want to evaluate the capacities at each one of those buildings. So North Side has a little less capacity than what you've got at Allen and South Side. So we're trying to take that into consideration. And then you'll see kind of how we'll lay that out as we do incorporate some growth and how that may shift some numbers over time. Again, we're going to look at this. So the way I would share this to kind of provide, and again, this still is a challenging eye test, and I apologize for that, is to kind of lay out, I'll share kind of where some of the major roads are there. Just to the north, separating what would be Allen Elementary Zone to the North Side Zone would be the Sherry Whitlock Road there. Just to the west would be kind of that Dogwood, North Dogwood Street there. There's kind of a natural break, a floodplain that comes south of the North Side campus there where that break is. And then you'll see that break for between what would be the South Side and North Side campuses right there at Jefferson. And then just to where it breaks south is Progress Avenue. So that kind of gives you an idea of what that first option would be. The other piece that we talked about was we want to make sure that we look at each one of those proposed zones and identify what we'll reference as potential lots. So those vacant developed lots, those homes that are under construction, and those futures that are out there. So you have an idea of how large those lot numbers could be in each one of those zones. So then when we talk about that presentation that I put together that we reviewed, we talked about the forecast for the district over the next several years and referenced that forecast. That forecast now lays into these numbers. So when we talk about the potential boundaries, at least for the next 5 years out, you'll see kind of a significant amount of development that's still in that Allen zone. So we would anticipate some of those elementary numbers kind of growing in Allen over the next 4 or 5 years based off of all those developments and that growth that'll be taking place. Whereas in the south side, I would say that based off of the numbers that we have, where the grade groups are right now, that should stay fairly consistent. Could potentially go down a little bit based off of some of the grade groups that would be coming through in the next several years, but still should stay fairly level. And then north side has that same dynamic where they do have some large grade groups that are going to graduate out in the next few years, but we still have some development that's in those zones that will at least keep those areas consistent. And then at least with what we're proposing right now with the numbers that we have, you still have some capacity at those campuses. So if you still had growth beyond what we're even showing in this, you would still be able to accommodate some of those. Proposal 2, we'll kind of share. You'll see this actually takes the numbers up a little bit, I think, at Allen compared to what we had in proposal 1. But then again, north side still at that reasonable below 500 number, at that somewhere between 450 and 470. The reason why we reference that range is because we know there's no exact number when we're talking about a proposal, because we have some transfers, we'll have some programs that are going to maybe be accommodated at one campus or another potentially, as well as we'll have some of the teachers' children will be coming to the campus potentially that they're at. So we know that there needs to be a little bit of wiggle room when we're talking about kind of a range when we're referencing some of these numbers. And again, when I reference kind of where this is at, again, this is going to identify kind of where those boundaries are. Again, that separation at Cindy Whitlock there between Allen and north side, still Dogwood being there. What I would say is you can see where it comes down. It breaks right there at Washington Street and then goes into 412 and then just follows 412 all the way over. And then what I would say on the north side, a little bit different than proposal 1, shows kind of a break of 59, and everywhere from 59 over as well as up 412 would all be in the north, beyond the north side elementary zone. So just a couple of different options that are there. And again, what I would say in this scenario, you'll see that actually, and I've just caught something that I will need to correct. You'll see that the large section is, again, the Allen zone that highlights all of those developments that are in Allen. That small reference of Hillcrest should actually reference the north side zone, not Allen there. But you can see that would have just a very small number within that area, and then everything else would fall back into the south zone, all those developments that we referenced previously that are south of 412. And then this just kind of lays out what that 5-year forecast would be for this proposed zone. Now that would tie into middle school. So really, what you'll see here is middle school. The middle school zones, when we reference middle north, is going to be the intermediate campus, at least the way we've got it here referenced, and then the middle south is your current middle school. Talking with the administration, the middle school campus, the current middle school campus, does have a little bit larger capacity, a little bit more ideal to have a little bit larger number. So that's why we are, at least in the proposal 1, had more numbers based off of the reside students that are in the district, would be just south of that 412 zone, and then north side would be in that northern section. And then again, this is proposal 2 that again is somewhat in alignment with the elementary proposal that we have in that western quadrant to make sure that those campuses are located in their proposed zones. This proposal actually has the numbers fairly balanced. So you could potentially see some larger numbers grow into that middle north number that would have it much larger. When I say much larger, could get up to that 600 range in the next 5, 6, 7 years. So that would need to be taken into consideration. But again, this just follows that. And then this just kind of gives you an idea of where we think those numbers potentially could be based off of those different scenarios. So when you look at both, you're going to look at it, and there's not a drastic difference between those numbers. So it gives you kind of some options on what you would potentially want to look at. But again, I would probably say you might want to, or at least a recommendation that we would want to share would just be to evaluate your elementaries as to what you think may be the best possible solution, and know that whatever that decision ultimately is, middle school most likely can be accommodated by that. With that said, two options, both on the elementary and on the middle school, kind of referencing some alignment between those two options, and would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I'll have to think about it before I come up with a question.
I think I'm good.
A lot of data.
Let us go through it first, yeah.
So I will say that I really appreciate Zonda and the work that they've done. They have really spent a lot of time with our specific data, not just making projections based off of some general stuff, but getting super specific about where our students currently live and where the projections are of where they're going to live in the future here in our community. And I appreciate the work that they've done. In my mind, they have given the district some high quality options. And we need to just take some time to make sure and publicize this across our district, and then allow our parents and our community in general to give us some feedback, so then that the board can have as much information as possible when it comes to deciding which direction we want to go with either one of these proposals, or if this is something we even want to do at all. So, anything else? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I will say, Hudson, if we have questions, we'll be reaching out if they come up with some stuff after they've had time to study. And also, as parents and the community come up with questions that maybe we can't answer, that might be something that we'd reach out to you and try to get you to help us answer those.
Absolutely happy to do so.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
And unless there is something specifically for me about transition, that would conclude my report for this evening.
Okay. And let me just remind the public as well that this will be out on our social media website to give us feedback. We want feedback from it.
Right.
As well.
And what I would encourage, and I think, so we have a transition email address that we have put together, our district has, and it's on our website, so people can send us emails. They also can send me directly an email, or obviously all our board member emails are on the website. So we have a lot of ways that we can get this information out, and we're going to get it out every way we can, because we absolutely want everybody in our community to have an opportunity to look at this ahead of time and give the feedback before the board makes a decision.
Awesome. Yes, sir. All right. Anybody else? You all good to move on? Okay. All right. Dr. McClung.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Christian Salazar with C.R. Crawford, and also Mike Spates with Build Architects. They're going to give you an update on the intermediate addition project, and following that report, Mike will give you a report on the roofing project that's ongoing as well.
Good evening. Hope everybody's doing okay. So tonight we're going to provide an update on progress for the intermediate school addition, and then following that, I prepared a slideshow for the re-roof projects. So the last time I was here, I showed everybody this slide, which represents progress up to the October school board meeting. At that time, the walls were, for the most part, topped out. We were still waiting on roof structure, just so we could put the roof deck on. And while I don't have a photo from the same vantage point, this illustrates how much progress can be accomplished in just 1 month. So since then, roof structure has been installed along with roof decking. That enables the roof system to be installed as well. And at the same time, they can start installing some interior stud walls. So the top view is looking west from the front parking lot, and then the picture down below is from the interior, generally looking east. So a lot of progress in just a month. Here are a couple of photos of the exterior. The top photo is taken from it would be the northeast corner, somewhat looking west. You can see installation of masonry veneer with cavity wall insulation, and then the CMU backup wall. And then the bottom picture is roof insulation that's starting to go down. So what you see there is just polyiso insulation board. That kind of long black roll, that's the TPO membrane that hasn't been installed just yet. So a lot of progress being made. So for schedule, I'll turn it over to Christian.
All right. So actually, roof is done and complete. That got wrapped up yesterday.
See, progress.
Masonry is also done and complete. Metal stud framing, done and complete. All done yesterday. So starting next week, we have all MEP trades, so mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, starting their in-wall and above ceiling rough-in. And so that'll start next week on the week of the 17th. And then we also have our framers continuing to do their blocking and installing the hollow metal door frames. And then next week, the roofers will finish putting their coping cap or their parapet cap on the roofing. That'll tie everything in together. And then we also have our Superior Stoneworks. So right now they're currently washing the masonry on the exterior of the building. They're going to finish that up and then take down all their scaffolding so that we can start doing site concrete and finishing up the exterior of the building wrapped up. And then we also have our storefront contractor starting next week on the 19th. So all the storefront windows, aluminum storefronts are going to start getting installed. So the exterior of the building is going to start looking a lot more finished out. And then we have our drywall finishers. As soon as we pass in-wall and above ceiling inspection and the installation inspection from the city and our third-party inspector, then we can start putting drywall, taping, and finishing everything out. And then lastly, we have Walker Masonry, which is our concrete contractor. They're going to start doing our canopy footings for the canopy starting hopefully next week. I'm trying to work out a deal with them. So if they start out next week, then that'll get us to the point where we can finish out all site concrete by the end of or middle of next month. And so that'll be all wrapped up and finished up while we're finishing up the interior. And so as of right now, we're still looking like we're on schedule. We're kind of pushing it a little bit with the canopy installation. The canopy manufacturer hasn't dropped the ball. We've just been going back and forth with them on the design of the canopy. But we are looking like that we'll get it into production tomorrow, hopefully, or beginning of next week. If we're able to get it into production as soon as possible, then we should be able to get it installed by the end of this year and hopefully get everything wrapped up first week of January. And so we're still looking like we're on track, but we're trying to do everything in our power to get this done so that we could turn this building over and get out of Tracy's hair as soon as possible. So I know she's probably ready for us to be done and over with, but she's been very patient with us, and we're grateful that we just get this opportunity to work with you guys. And so we're almost there. We're almost in the finish line. Just be patient, and we'll get it done, turn it over to you guys as soon as possible. So you guys got any questions schedule-wise?
I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'll go ahead and ask it for the board. We're still on budget, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's important.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, if there are no other questions on the intermediate, we will get to the re-roof projects. So the last time I was here, I was thinking about showing you guys pictures, which all you saw was roof, and it was really hard for me to describe really the progress and really the extent of roofing that needs to be done versus what is actually accomplished. So I created these, and from left to right on the top, it's intermediate school, then elementary school, or Allen Elementary School, and then Southside Elementary. What is shrouded in gray represents the area of roof that is required to be re-roofed, and that means they take the existing roof membrane and all the insulation down to the existing deck, all trim work, copings, everything. Then they come back with new insulation, new membrane, flash everything in, retrim, and we're done. So the bottom row, everything that is black represents what has been completed. As of, I think, first part of this week, Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember exactly when I came out here. But from left to right, you can see south side, there's a considerable amount of black. And so by my estimates, as of this past Monday or Tuesday, they're about 75% complete. And they had since started on Allen Elementary School, working from the east end of it and working to the right. My assumption is they're knocking out a lot of the more cut up areas of the roof, which is, it's the black portion. Once they get to the upper floors, those classroom wings, there's really very little that gets in their way. If you've ever been up there, it's just a very, very long, low slope roof with very minimal penetration. So they're really going to be able to ramp up progress. But by my estimations, they are approximately 30% complete with Allen Elementary School. And as I don't believe they've started on anything at Southside just yet. I've asked them about that previously, and they're not really concerned about it because the area to be re-roofed is so small. Last time I spoke to Mr. Chater over at Stearman, they feel really good about towards the end of this month to be completed. They said they've had some really good weather and progress has been really good. He did admit they're probably going to take this coming Saturday off because they've been working pretty extensively, but progress has been really good. So I just wanted to show everybody some photos. The top photo, those are new pipe supports on what we call TPO slip sheet. We have those supports for gas lines, conduit for electrical services. The bottom right is towards that would be south end of the intermediate school. That is completely TPO'd. The only thing that's left is all the trim work. And when I say trim work, I mean just copings, trims, flashings, those types of things. The tedious work. So this would be at the north end. The top image is at the north end of the intermediate school, where that darker gray portion of the roof represents the areas that they have removed the existing roof and they're laying down new insulation to be followed by a new TPO. So they start at the high side or the high end of the roof, and if the roof has a ridge, they start there. They do replacement, and then they can take the new membrane and they flash it over the existing. That way, if any rain, unforecasted rain comes in, it'll hit the new roof and it'll still flash and drain over the old roof. So there's no water that's going to infiltrate, in theory.
In theory.
And so some of the trim work that I'm talking about, the lower image is a representation. That's a term bar with continuous bead of caulk that's at the top of it. That's the Firestone detail on how they terminate TPO wall flashing at the base of a window. That's some of the tedious work that they have to do. These images are at Allen Elementary School. So the top image is at the end of the building close to the south side. And then the lower image, I think that's over the commons area. So they're gradually working their way to the north. And this is the portion of the building that I think is the most cut up. Once they get all this taken care of and they're up there on the second floor, I really intend to see progress just flying. But they're doing really well. And some of the things that I check when I'm there, I think I generally always check to make sure that they're providing 2 layers of insulation. So I specify a minimum 4 inches of insulation for energy code and minimum 2 layers. That way the gaps or the joints between the insulation boards, they're not stacking. So there's not a continuous thermal break at insulation from the deck to the membrane. So everything is always going to overlap. So it just breaks that thermal bridge. That's my report. Does anybody have any questions? Interesting stuff?
Thanks, Doug.
Got to make the most of it.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mike. Appreciate you. And I think we have Miss Joanna is going to come up and give us a report over the child nutrition department.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all again. Hope you enjoyed your lunch today.
Very good.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come speak with you a little bit about what we do in child nutrition and just kind of the good things we've been doing so far this year. Over the summer, we do our summer feeding program every year. I'm just going to show you a little bit of growth from 2024 to 2025. This program continues to grow every year that we do it. This will not stop as far as I'm concerned. We have kids out there that need food through the summer. We all know that those kids, sometimes that's the only food they get is when we're at school. So we want to make sure that we're providing those for our students. I will say Steve has been a great resource, I believe, to kind of show us where, our populations of kids are. We've had to make some adjustments, usually every year, where we're taking those mobile sites to. So we'll just continue to make those adjustments and kind of follow our kids so that we can make sure that we're serving them as they need it. This is kind of an overview of what our free and reduced numbers are. You all know we made our 70% this year. This is kind of the breakdown of what that looks like. 42.5% of our students were directly certified. That means that we receive a report from the state. Those students are either on Medicaid, so they qualify for either Medicaid free or Medicaid reduced, or they're on SNAP, so they have food stamps. Those are students that don't have to fill out a free and reduced application. It directly comes from the state. They're automatically qualified. That puts us eligible for some other benefits for next year that we'll look into and kind of let you know about that as those come. But you'll see that that Medicaid free population of those kids, that was started, I believe, in April of last year, that we were able to include those students, and that is a good chunk of those kiddos that we have. So it's great that we're able to offer that, those free meals to those kids as well. If you don't know, all kids are eating free in Arkansas this year for breakfast. Lunch, reduced students eat for free as well. So as long as they are on some sort of application free or reduced, they're eating breakfast and lunch for free at school. Our participation from last year to this year, you'll see the light green is breakfast from last year. The light blue is breakfast from this year. We have our free status, and that kind of maintained the same from last year to this year. Reduced status, that has increased, that participation. Our paid has made quite a bit of a jump this year from last year. I think a lot of that's because they're getting to eat without having to pay, which is great. Lunch, you'll see a slight drop in free from last year. Reduced kind of stayed the same. Again, paid increased a little bit. So overall, we have some increase. Even though our enrollment is down this year, we're feeding more kids. So this is one of our opportunities we had the opportunity to have this year. We've partnered with UAMS over the last 3 years. They brought down Chef Kent out of the state of Washington. He has a business, and this is what he does. He goes into schools, he does some training, just kind of gets people out of their comfort zone and allows us to see some opportunities of things that we can do a little differently. We want to bring in some more fresh fruits and vegetables to those kids, whether it's roasting vegetables, which is a different way to serve that item to kids that we don't typically serve now. It was a great event. The kids raved, a lot of yelling and screaming. It was just a great time for them. That kiddo in the bottom right corner, he came up and asked the chef if he could have his autograph and asked him to sign his shirt. So we've got that little kiddo right there. Like, oh my goodness, I don't know what his mama's going to think about that, but I think she'll be all right. And this is our team over at the intermediate school that participated in that program, and some of the folks from UAMS. They all had a great time. They all are passionate about what they do, and they're here for the kids. So that's all I've got.
Great.
Any questions?
Good job.
Okay.
Very much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I really want to brag on Joanna. She's come on board here recently, and she has really jumped in with both feet and is doing a wonderful job. And we're so glad to have her back in the district, and just excited about the future of that department and where they're headed.
Yep. Thank you for the sweet tea refills today. All right. Move on to Miss Amy Carter.
Good evening. So last month, I used the word preliminary data over and over. So now this is more of our final data. The first several slides that you will see just really are copies of what I presented last month. When the screeners did close, we didn't have really any of our areas that changed more than 1%. So what we had as preliminary is pretty much what we still have as our final with the screeners. So that's what the first several slides are. Third grade. Now we'll get to our new to us data. So new to us, last May, our kiddos in K2 took the Atlas State Assessment, and I've changed the colors 2 or 3 times, and Mr. Killian started it, and he had different colors. And it was all color-coded. But then Bambi and I worked on something earlier, so now it's just totally different than it was this morning. But what we want to see are higher numbers in levels 3 and levels 4. That's where we want to see a higher number, higher than the state, or, just high for us. Levels 2 and 3, we would like to see numbers below the state. Did I say that backwards? Level 1 and 2?
Right.
Okay. Level 1 and 2, we want to see below what the state is. So that's why over on the math section, you'll see that 30 for kindergarten math summative last year. It is highlighted pink, red, because we should have been lower. Like that's our goal, is to be lower. And then on the ELA side, you'll notice again that 32 is highlighted, again, because we would like to be lower. And then the 37 and the 12, we want to be above. So it's just very messy here, but we're a little bit lower. So that's kind of the theme we'll be going with a little bit as we move on to summative. So this is Allen. So this is our first grade. And again, I'm not going to read all those numbers to you, but I would like to celebrate the fact that we had our level 3s and 4s in all of those areas. We outdid the state percentages, some barely, but most of them by significant numbers. So we have a lot to be proud of, and a lot of hard work from our teachers, administrators at both Northside and Allen to help our kids move forward. So this is cohort data. And if you'll remember from a previous report, we're going to track the same kids. So current first graders, how did they do as kindergartners? And then now they're sitting there as first graders with the first grade screener. So that's what each of these represent. So in math for current first graders, when they took the test in May, they were at 41% in math and 48% proficient in ELA. Coming into their screener as first graders, they landed at 60% ready and 49% ready. So they maintained or exceeded where they ended from last school year. And you can see all across, when you go to our current second graders, we have great gains there as well. Ended at 54, improved to 74, and this is just on the screener. So these are skills that kiddos are going to be taught somewhat. There are some previous skills too. And ELA also made jumps, and then you can see that current third grade from where they were as second graders, 19 at the screener, which we didn't know what we were doing then, kids or teachers and adults. And then the summative, you can see we're hitting that 48% mark again, which we hit relatively. But this year at the third grade screener, they're 72. So we have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot still to do to enhance ourselves. But our principals and our teachers, everyone, they're working hard to make changes. Any questions?
Not a question, but I think it's a good time to celebrate our school letter grade.
Well, that's next.
Oh, great.
You
great.
just segued into the next part.
Perfect.
Amy, if you go back one slide, one thing I would like to point out to the board that as I was listening to Amy
It won't
talk.
go backwards.
Oh, it won't?
No.
That's all right. The cohort data, I think, is super important for our staff because it shows the connection of what teachers do one year and how it affects what teachers the next year are doing with the same group of kids. It's easy just to look at your own data for what you're doing this year, and then you get a whole different group of kids and what you're doing with those students. But when you look at a cohort and you start lining up their years from kindergarten to first to second to third, and it just shows that I talk to our team all the time about the fact that an educational experience for a student is a continuum. And through the years, we're trying to get them to a graduation point where they're ready to go be successful in the world. And we just look at 1 year at a time, it gets really focused in. And I think when you look at it as a cohort group over time, you see that successes that people are building on, and it gets that cohesiveness amongst grade levels that we hope that the transition into neighborhood schools will even more emphasize that. And so I think this is really important that we really use this cohort data properly, and that we see the connection and we help our staff see the connection of what that looks like and how what they do now affects things years to come. Because if you send them not ready, well, then that next group has got to get them ready before they can actually do what they need to do. And so that's why the education of a student in our school district is dependent upon every single teacher they have and where they're going to end up one day. So.
Okay. So now we will go to our letter grade, and Miss Bambi's going to pull up My School Info, which is a state. It's on the state website. Anyone can Google this and find My School Info and find out that Siloam Springs has a B rating for our district letter grade. This is the first year that the district has received its own letter grade, of course, based on how each of the schools end up with their letter grade. So if you'll remember, we had B's and we had 2 C's. So all of that out in the wash, we ended up as a B. So we were very proud of that. You probably saw that on social media or website. Miss Page sent that out just right away as soon as we had our information. So I'm just going to have Bambi scroll us through just a little bit and explain some of what people at home might see if they go to My School Info, or anyone else that wants to look through this. Good. Okay, so the first piece you're going to see is like that overall. It's like the glimpse of each of the categories. You can see we have 3 categories in the lighter green, and that means above. And then we have 2 that are in that orangey color. So that's our graduation rate and merit distinction. So here in a minute, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we scroll down. So then what you'll notice is the next section, that's our achievement. Remember in Atlas, we're measuring achievement, we're measuring growth, we're measuring the growth of the lowest 25% of our kiddos, and then we have the graduation rate and whichever one I'm forgetting. Merit and distinction. How could I forget that? Okay, so you can see here that our percent is above on most all of those. All of them actually are above the state average for each of those. Bambi, you can not there, just scroll
just
down.
to clarify what that means, that percentage number up there means is that 37, like for ELA, 37% of our students achieved a level 3 or 4 on the ELA exam, is what that's saying. And the state average of schools only have 30, or across the state, only 32%. So as you can see across all of that, we were well above the state, significantly above the state in our achievement.
Yes.
And that's taken all grades into account.
It's all grades. Okay, Bambi, you can scroll down a little bit. Okay, so next is the growth area. And again, where Shane was pointing that out, you will see hours at 54, 56, 51, and then the state 50, 51, and 48. So again, this is growing all of our students, not just a subgroup, but all of them. And we are maintaining and leading ahead of what the state average is. So we certainly want to continue with that. Go ahead. The next part is growing that low performing student. So it's the lowest quartile of students for each grade, not as a whole district. It's each grade gets their own lowest 25%. And again, you can see that lowest quartile of students, we are making gains with them. Do we have more to gain? Absolutely. But we are ahead of what the state average is. And so that's just a great measure for us to look at. Okay, now we'll go to Success Ready Graduate, where we had our orange ratings, which means we were a little below. So graduation rate, the district's at 90% and the state's at 90%. So I guess when you're even Steven, they say you're below. So do we have room to work? Bambi, will you click on that little see more data now? Okay, so this gives us some bar graphs that we can look at, and it also gives us our subgroup, our kids that are graduating on time. And so when we look across this as a high school or as district leaders, we can look at this and see that we have some subgroups that we really need to focus on over time. When we're looking at that, you can, the Hispanic, the low income, our English learners, those three are down in the mid to a little bit upper 80s. So if we can focus on that and get kids to understand completing graduation and the importance of that, then we can, over time, start to see success and get our average 90 and the state average 90 to look a little better in that regard. But we are at least with the state. Okay, Bambi. And then the last one, merit and distinction, which I love this one. So you can click on more data. Merit and distinction are something that the state started a couple of years ago, and I believe you'll remember Ms. Meeker came and did a presentation about, back when we were going to have graduation, she did a presentation about some of this. So our students can earn merit and distinction. There's a multitude of ways that they earn that diploma, a distinction diploma, or a merit diploma. And last year was our first year to really focus on this and to put forth effort, since we had learns and we learned more about merit and distinction. And so you'll notice again, we have subgroups. And then Bambi, will you scroll down just a fraction? Okay, so then we have what percentage of students completed the pathways. So they have high wage, high demand pathways. And then, of course, we have our scholar pathways, like our AP and different things. So you'll notice completed 3 or more concurrent credit courses. That's 7% of our students. Well, we've already taken steps last spring with the high school and some of us district leaders. We are working on having more concurrent credit offerings where we had parent meetings to let parents know about more concurrent credit and how students could even earn an associate's degree by the time they graduate if they chose to go on this course. They don't have to. And so we have some meetings upcoming with additional post-secondary institutions, and we hope to find some additional campuses that we can work with and offer more to our kiddos. The next one is concentrator in high demand and high wage. So Miss Jenny Mariquin came to us several times through the years and shared about our CTE program. And this is one you can see 42% of our kids. So the one thing that will change starting with our next round of data that says concentrator in high demand and high wage, and that will change to completer of high demand and high wage. And so to be a completer, our students need to complete 3 courses in a certain pathway towards a certification or whatnot in our high school. So concentrator, they've had 2, or they've done a certification, and now they have to be a completer. And I don't think that will change our numbers much. I think we will still meet that criteria. And then the scholar pathways, like the 3 or more AP classes, we do not have IB courses, so we have advanced placement. And we have 20%, and Miss King has already informed me that we've had more students this year. I guess sign up is the word, sign up for AP tests, classes, and therefore their tests that they will be taking. So we'll be anxious to see that 20% even grow more. So that's a little bit about our letter grade and how we ended up with that. And then for our 2 areas that show we're below the state, then not quite sure how we get there when we have 57 and a 55 at the state level, but we're taking our B and moving on. Any questions or comments, thoughts? No. Y'all are quiet tonight.
Thanks,
Good.
Amy.
Thank you.
So I think Ms. Shauna, Ms. Rebecca are going to come up and give you a department overview for special education.
Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Well, we just want to thank you for the opportunity to talk about our department tonight. And we feel very blessed to be able to serve the 625 students who receive special education services. That's about 14.5% of our total student population. What you see listed there are the 13 disability categories that Arkansas recognizes. And I just want to point out a couple of them. The high incidence disabilities include other health impairment, specific learning disability, and speech language impairment. And just like other districts, we have high numbers in those categories. But one thing I found interesting is that autism is no longer considered a low incidence disability. It's now listed under the high incidence disability, and that's the trend across the nation, right? In our district, we have what we call SLE classrooms, or structured learning environments. And in those classrooms, we serve students with the most significant disabilities who need the most help in accessing their education. And then
New this year, we do have,
Yeah, you're fine.
We do have 2 bridge classrooms. Those are what you might think of as an academic, more self-contained classroom for students that we know need additional support, additional behavior support, additional small group instruction, but they're not a good fit for that SLE type environment. They need the ability to move back and forth in between that gen ed classroom, but a considerable amount of support still from special ed. And so those are new classrooms for us this year. And we have one that serves K-3 students and one that serves 4-8 students.
So when you say that question, that bridge is not just a separate classroom. It's the fact that they can float back and forth between the SLE and the bridge.
No, they actually float back and forth between the bridge and the gen ed classroom. So it's kind of a bridge, hopefully to building that bridge to a more full-time, higher LRE, where they're accessing gen ed more.
Okay.
This kind of outlines the related services that we provide in Salem Springs. And as you can see, we have a high number with speech and language therapy. But I also wanted to point out that we provide specialized transportation for 93 of our students with disabilities. And that means we have 5 special ed buses that, with drivers and paraprofessionals, that provide transportation for our kids every morning and evening and take care of our kids and get them safely to and from school. We're very thankful for them as well. Now we just want to brag a little bit about our Special Olympics program. As you know, Rhonda Bryant has been coordinating this for the past several years, and she's really done a great job of growing our unified program. We have 108 unified partners now, and those are students without disabilities who compete right alongside our students with disabilities. And it is truly a blessing to watch.
This week we had cheer. And so we got pictures throughout the afternoon as that was happening. And what that looked like was across the gym at the high school, our students that are in wheelchairs, our students that have more significant disabilities are holding up signs. They've got cheerleaders standing there with them, and they're getting just the best high school experience along with everybody else. So it's just a super special program.
And so now as you know, last year, I think it was last year, that Southside became a banner school, a national banner school, and this year now middle school has also become. So now we have 2 of the 3 banner schools in Arkansas, and that's for unified championship, and that it's really quite an honor, and we're excited about that. And so I think we'll probably move towards becoming a unified banner district, hopefully.
And that just represents that partnership in between the gen ed, the community, and our special ed students. And it's been a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, our next slide is just looking at our staffing numbers for this year. We have around 100 staff members in the special education program. You can kind of see how that's all broken down. One of the things I wanted to highlight this year that's a little bit different than what we had last year is that we have this instructional coaches that are just for our special ed teachers. It's a great support to them. We support them with paperwork, but also with instructional strategies and behavior. We have one that serves teachers that are teaching in that K-5 setting, and then another one that serves teachers in the 6-12. And then we have our third position just supports those SLE classrooms. And so that has allowed us to get curriculum up and moving quickly in those classrooms, troubleshooting students and moving forward. So that's a really exciting addition to our team this year. Our last slide is our goals, Shauna and I's goals for the department this year. We've got some big goals around staffing. We have a few positions that are coming in front of the board tonight, so pending those approvals, we will be fully staffed in teachers in the special ed program, and we're thrilled about that. So we're definitely continuing to work with Mr. Schoonover on recruitment, recruitment and retention. So retention, kind of piggybacks into that instructional programming piece, the professional development that we're providing, those instructional coaches that are walking alongside our teachers for paperwork and instruction. We're also focusing on attendance, just like our students. We know how important it is that our staff is at work for our students' progress and for continuity of service delivery. Our second major goal is general program development and oversight. We are being monitored by the Department of Ed in the spring semester, so they'll come in and pull, 40 or so of our files and look over them with a fine-tooth comb. So Shauna and I are focused very heavily on that coming up in the spring, and then we're working closely with Terry and with Amy on budgeting and resource management, making sure that we're making the best fiscal decisions that we can for our department. And then that last one's just our instructional support, our professional learning, focusing on behavior strategies, those SLE classrooms, inclusive practices, paperwork, and those supports are for the gen ed teachers and the special education teachers. All right, do you guys have any questions for us?
I've got one on attendance.
Yes, sir.
Is it aligned pretty much with the district, or is it up, down, or just?
I think our department does experience a little higher rate of absenteeism. Yes, sir.
More so in the classified.
Yes.
But we celebrated those teachers who had only missed 2 days or less yesterday at our department meeting. We gave them prizes, and it was fun.
Yeah.
I have a question as well.
Yes.
You mentioned retention.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that retention for SPED teachers is a little more difficult than general teachers? I'm not sure.
Can we say yes at the same time? It's a resounding yes.
I would assume so. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Our teachers and our support staff and our related services work with some of the most challenging students in the district.
Sure. Right.
And we are so thankful for them.
Well, and I'm happy to see that that's a goal of yours too. So
Yes.
thank you for that. Yep, I'm sure that is challenging.
So one thing I will say is that that makes that even a little more challenging, and is the fact that there are not enough certified special education teachers who are willing to continue to teach special education students in the state of Arkansas to fill all of the jobs that are available. And we experience that here. So what ends up happening, we come up with alternative ways to get people certified. And sometimes what happens is they go right to teaching before they have a grasp of what they need. But it's through the state's program that they set up, but they don't have the full onset training before they walk into the classroom. So that is a struggle. So we have around the state, you have people who are working on their teacher certification through a program. So they're going to school, and then they come to school to teach kids. And they may have even if they have a background in education, if they don't have that certification. And so that's what makes that a little difficult at times for people. And I think that's one thing that it hinders a little bit, that retention.
But if we find those individuals that have a heart to work with special education students, we're going to snatch them up and train them and support them, because that's the kind of people that we want in our department.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I think that ends our reports tonight.
All right. Awesome. Thank you all. All right. We will move into our action items. Bambi, would you let the minutes show that we do have an established quorum? And our first action item is approval of consent agenda.
Unless there are any questions, I would recommend that the board approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve our consent agenda.
All right. Motion. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. October financial statement. Ms. Terry.
I know you've been sitting on the edge of your seats waiting on this because it's so interesting. I do have some news, though. Our auditors are supposed to be here next week, so
Today.
Good.
yeah, my hair will be an even wilder color next month after they leave. I honestly don't have much to report this month, and that is good. I hope I have a lot to report because we will have received all of our our big tax deposit that'll get us through the winter. I've looked at it, and it's like 7.5 million. So it's tracking like we received last year. So that's always a good sign. If you look at our graphs, you can see that our local revenue so far this year is only 33% of our revenue, and the state is 66. And if you remember when we ended the year last year, we were almost 50-50. Well, local's about to beat the pants off of federal, or off the state, because we're going to have $7.5 million. So that's going to even out a little bit. If you look through the back to where you get to these pages that have the blue on it, that's really more definite, you will notice that we have a negative balance in our repair budget. And you guys are like, how can you have a $500,000 negative? Well, Randall and Joe worked very hard to get an insurance check to us for those roofs. And so as we got the money before we made the repairs. And so as we're paying through those repairs that Michael Spaeth was showing you tonight, it'll start looking more normal. But it sure is fun to have that there. And if you look, you will see that we still have a very large balance in our vehicles to spend. We are still waiting on our 2 buses that we ordered in March. So I have no idea when they're going to get here. Last year's buses, I think, made it in March or April of this year. Yes. And so we used to could order them in March and have them by like September. In the last couple of years, it just hasn't been like that. So we will get them sometime this year, but I just wanted to point out that we didn't over budget on that part. It's a waiting game. And what?
Our full-size bus is already built. It's in the air condition. Getting that because that's a special needs bus that'll be January probably. And we knew that going in.
Do you guys have any other questions?
I don't know that. All right, I'll entertain a motion then if you have no questions.
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Go right ahead.
Now I get to talk about the fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When we all sat down for our work session for this year's budget, we were able to discuss and plan for a holiday bonus to be given out this year around the holidays. So just want to remind the public and our staff what the criteria are for receiving this bonus. You have to be a contracted employee of the school district. So if you are not a contracted employee, you do not qualify at all for the bonus. If an employee terminates employment prior to this board meeting, they are no longer eligible for this bonus. If we hire an employee tomorrow, they are not eligible for this bonus because it happened after this date. This is the date that sticks, is this board meeting, if you guys approve. We will pay this out along with the employee's November 20th paycheck so they can have it for Black Friday shopping in case you need that. This is not prorated based on what your salary is or how many jobs you have. Every person who is contracted today will receive the exact same amount as everyone else. Temporary employees, guest teachers, hourly, or other non-contracted employees will not receive the bonus. They do not qualify. And the bonus that we are able to give this year is $750. The estimated cost of the bonus for our district, benefits included, is right at $600,000. So I'm pretty excited that we were able to find a way to budget that into our pay scale. It's not a pay scale, but we were able to budget that in this year for our employees.
Yeah.
I would like to, one of the questions that Terry and I get all the time is why we pay it in the check like that we do. And Terry actually takes care of our employees. If she pays a separate bonus check, it's under a different rate of deduction. And so
Would be taxed at 28%, and then we would still have to withhold 15% of retirement. As putting it in with their regular paycheck, I only have to charge them 7.65% tax. So there's a big difference between 7.65 and 28. Another question we get a lot is, I thought you said I was getting a $750 raise. My check didn't change $750. Well, that is because we have to withhold taxes and retirement from it. So how much tax? 7.65, and it's the same. It's the same for everybody. So, but everybody's deductions and things are different, so you can't compare to each other because it depends on what they claim on their W-2, and I'm not going to go into the weeds on that.
Right.
But thanks, Shane, for bringing that up. I'll make a motion to approve the holiday bonus.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And let me say real quick that, and that motion has carried. Let me say that we did have a work session in our financial work session earlier this year, and I know the board took this to heart, and we just want all of our staff to know that we sincerely appreciate you. It is the financial side of being a board member can be stressful at times. And so when you spend $600,000, know that we feel like you're worth $6 million, but we did what we felt like we could absolutely do. And we do appreciate every single one of you. And thank you, Terry, for your work, Mr. Patrick as well, and the rest of the board. Thank you. I know everyone appreciates it. All right. School board policy update. No, I need to get to Mr. Beardsley first.
Good evening.
He drove a long way to be here, so let's
My
get
pleasure.
you on the floor.
That's my pleasure. So for those of you who have been on the board for a while, you're aware that about every 2 years, it seems like the election laws change. This last session is no different. So schools can no longer have special elections, and they can no longer set when their election is. All school elections in 2026 will now occur in March in conjunction with either the presidential or the governor's primary. So we're changing our cycle, which means that you now have to publish information about that election earlier than we're all used to doing. So you have before you a motion that would approve a proposed budget for 27-28. And then that notice will run one time in the newspaper, and it gives the voters a heads up on what's going to be in the ballot in March. You may ask, why 27-28? Because the March of 26 election sets the tax rate that goes into effect January the 1st of 2027. Those taxes are due, like Terry was talking about, in October of 27. For you, that's the 27-28 school year. The one other thing that I will point out just for the public is that both the proposed budget and the ballot that are in the board packets has the statement, the total proposed school tax levy of 44.2 mils represents the same rate presently being levied. So the district is not asking for any change in its millage, but you are required to present the millage to the voters even if there's no change. Should for some reason the millage fail in March, then you will default to the previously approved millage, which means that the outcome of the election doesn't matter. But you're required to do this, so here we are.
A quick question. With the millage, if we were going to have a millage increase and vote on that, does that fall now the same way in March or November? Or?
So November's out the door. You have to have your election in March. And so the new pattern for us will be, if you're thinking about changing your millage, then really you need to decide before Thanksgiving each year, because that allows you to publish it in early December and gives the voters the necessary notice of what's coming in early March on the ballot. So our new rhythm will be, you're applying for partnership, you get that notice in May, you have the summer to be thinking through it, but no later than your November meeting, you would decide what would appear the following March. So that's new for all of us. Bambi was on top of it. Man, she emailed me in September, hey, are you coming in October or November? So she helps us stay on track with everything. The one thing it doesn't change is if you wanted to issue second lien bonds as for funding some of the projects the board is talking about separate from an election, that process remains unchanged, where if in discussion with Terry and your team, you decide that you can afford a new debt payment, then you as a board would decide to do that, and within 90 to 140 days, you could have the money in your account, but you would have to pay it out of your existing budget. There would be no new revenue to make that payment. But that process remains unchanged. Any tax change now is March of each year.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay.
So I would recommend, this is kind of a long motion, so I want to make a recommendation that the board approve the proposed budget of expenditures with tax levy for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2027 to and including June 30th, 2028, and to approve the related sample ballot.
They do have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion has carried.
All right, Ms. Bambi, we'll do our same thing. If you'll collect those two signatures, send the notice. It needs to run one time before December 9th, and then that rest of the information is ready to go over to the Election Commission. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you very much for making the trip.
All right. Now, Dr. McClellan.
All right, so this evening we have 4 policy updates we're bringing to you. This is largely just cleanup from what we went through back in the early fall, summer months, whenever we first took in the recommended policy updates. So the ones that we have right now are, we have 2 for maternity leave, 1 for classified, 1 for certified. Within that, we have the policy. The policy has been amended to align with the employee eligibility language with the guidance of DESE. In addition, language was added to clarify that employee will be compensated at the employee's full daily rate of pay for each day they are on leave. We also have a school choice update. This policy was updated to align with the changes that were made in the DESE rules of governance for school choice. And then lastly, we have an update for the possession and use of personal electronic devices. This is the policy that correlates with the bell-to-bell no-sell legislation. The process for that is we had to send that policy into the state specifically, and they gave us feedback. The amended changes that we have in that policy are based on the feedback that we received from DESE. So I'd make a recommendation to accept those policies as presented.
Real quick, I also want to emphasize that these do not, based on the fact that DESE did not get the rules completed in time for these policies, that is why they have not had to go back through PPC on the maternity leave. The student ones don't have to ever go through that, and they can be changed at any time. But as with any new legislative session, when they pass laws and they tell DESE to make rules, there's 100+ laws that create rule changes that they don't get done in time for us to make policies. So that's why they're they're coming to us now.
And these changes need to be approved separately or all together?
I believe they can be made, we can
I
make
think we
one
do it all
motion.
in one,
We
just
could
as,
all.
just as we typically do with
But we
sweeping
could do
updates.
separately.
You could do separately if you wanted to.
I'll make a motion to approve all recommended policy changes as presented.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion has carried. Thank you, Dr. McClung. All right, Mr. Patrick.
So as required by state law, when a student petitions for transfer, a board-to-board transfer, if I'm going to make a recommendation to deny that transfer request, then we have to handle it on a specific, an individual action item. And we also have to give the parents, if they come, some time to speak to the board. And so you have a letter in your packet due to student privacy. I will not read that letter, but I have given my reasons for denying that transfer request. I do not believe we have parents here to speak on that child's behalf. And so at this point, I would just make a recommendation to deny that transfer.
All right, do I have a motion?
Motion to deny.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, transfer is denied. That motion has carried. I will call this meeting into executive session for the purpose of hiring and resignations.
my goodness, that's awesome. Aw. Aw.
Oh, where am I?
Oh, cool. He lives about by you?
Oh,
He lives near you? Oh, he lives here in town. You just brought him. You just picked him up. Oh, he does.
All right, I will call this meeting back into open session. And Mr. Patrick.
I'd like to recommend that the board accept the resignations of Kelly Pitcher, high school English teacher, Brian Hyde, reading interventionist, Dan Urban, high school social studies teacher.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Licensed hires.
I'd like to recommend that the board approve the hires of Deborah Ulbrich, Allen Elementary Special Education teacher, and Ben Wiedemeyer, Southside Elementary Special Education teacher.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I would like to recommend that we change the date of the December school board meeting to the 18th of December, Thursday the 18th. That the original date of the board meeting, the board will be at the Arkansas School Board Association meeting, and so this was the time when it seemed most convenient for everybody.
All right. Do you have a motion to move the December board meeting to the 18th?
Motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion's carried. Emergency sick leave.
I would recommend, there's a letter in your packet detailing the emergency sick leave ask, and I would recommend that the board approve the emergency sick leave for this particular employee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion has carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Motion.